What's going on, everyone? SnoopLoop7 here. In the Black Ops 4 beta, I'm going to be talking about the most important changes that I think need to happen before the release. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the barricade from the Torque Specialist. This is the placeable barrier where the front of it also slows you down and damages you. And I really like this specialist a lot, actually. It could be very, very useful in objective game modes. The only problem I have with it is the damage from the front of it. It is way too strong. I actually didn't know that it dealt damage at first, and in a game the enemy used it and I ran across in front of it and I almost insta-dropped from like I was full health, and I died in probably 2 seconds, right? 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, done. And I was thinking, what the hell was that? The fact that it deals so much damage is going to be way too strong in objective game modes, because you can easily set it up in front of an objective or in front of a doorway to an objective, and it makes it so it's completely impossible for the enemy team to get in, right? If there's just a barrier and the barrier just slows you when you're in front of it, that would be difficult enough as it is for the enemies to get past it. But when you also add such strong damage, it completely makes it impossible as a pathway. That means if you're going against that in an objective game mode, you have to take a completely different route, because it'll be very difficult to outshoot them with a barrier in front of them, obviously, and you also won't be able to run past the barrier, because even if they're crouched down behind the barrier, if you try to run past it, you're going to get slowed and killed from the damage, which is ridiculous. If the enemy is going to set up a barrier and then crouch behind it, being able to run up past it or run up and hide in front of it should be very valid counterplay to it. But if they can just crouch behind it, not get shot, and then you aren't even able to run past the barrier because it's going to have such strong damage, it makes the only counterplay to either run completely around the map to another flank route, or you have to take, multiple clips from probably multiple people to shoot it and break it down. So I think the damage should either be removed or at least significantly toned down. The next couple things I want to talk about, one of which is also from the Torque Specialist, are the razor wires from the Torque Specialist and the trip mines, I can't remember what they're called, from the Nomad. The problem I have with these is how long they last once you place them down. I'm pretty sure that their time is indefinite, and you can have down multiple at the same time. So you can have down razor wire in one spot, and then if it hasn't gotten destroyed by the time you get razor wire again, you can now put razor wire down in another spot. And the same goes for trip mines. So you can have trip mines in 2 different areas at the same time. So the problem with this in the case of the razor wire is that means that if you're going against it, it's going to either completely cut off multiple routes for you, or you have to take the time to shoot them, 1, giving away your position, 2, wasting a lot of ammo, because it takes a lot of damage to destroy razor wire. Even if you have AP rounds with an assault rifle, it still takes almost a full clip, meaning if you shoot it, you're gonna have to reload. So if an enemy is nearby, it gives them a chance to very easily kill you, either while you're still shooting it because it takes so long, or during the reload. So you have to either completely give up your pathing, or you have to waste a bunch of ammo and give up your position. And as for the trip mines, the problem with them lasting forever is on multiple occasions I've spawned on the opposite spawn from, let's say where I had originally been spawning, and I'll take 3 steps and I'll run through trip mines and die. That's not something I should have to account for 3 steps after spawning. They could be trip mines placed by someone 3 or 4 minutes ago who has since died 4 or 5 times from when he placed them, and now that the spawns finally flip, all of a sudden I'm going to be instantly killed, and I think that's ridiculous. Oh, and another thing I just remembered about the razor wire, it seems to me, I could be wrong, it seems to me like they soak up a lot of damage when you're trying to shoot through them at an enemy, so it seems they almost act like a wall or barrier where they're taking all of the bullet damage, and that bullet damage isn't going onto the enemy player. So the changes I think they need to make to them is, 1, with the razor wire, they need to be fully penetratable by bullets. Think about it in real life. If you're shooting at a target that's behind razor wire, the target's going to take the full damage. So it shouldn't be soaking up any damage when you're shooting at stuff behind it. And as for how long they last, I think they either need to be on a timer so that they're automatically destroyed after a certain amount of time, or when you place your second razor wire or second trip mine that the first one gets removed, or they could even implement something where they're automatically destroyed once you've died, say 2 or 3 times after originally placing them. Another possible fix specifically for the trip mines, and I'm not sure if they have this, but I know in the past there has been spawn protection from things like explosives, and I'm not sure if they have it in this game or not. I haven't been able to look into that. But if they make it so you don't take explosive damage within the first like 2 seconds or something after spawning, that would of course make it so that people can't just drop trip mines right after a spawn. So that's it for those 2 things. Another thing that I've run into that I also saw on Reddit that people were complaining about is teammate names and their health bars when you're aiming down sight and your teammates are off in the distance. The problem with this is if you're aiming down sight and off in the distance is your teammate and his health bar, you can't see if all of a sudden an enemy rounds the corner. So I think they either need to remove the teammates' name and health bars when you're aiming down sight, or make it so that they're transparent and see-through. So now on to the last major gameplay affecting issue that I want to talk about in this video, and that's the fog of war. I don't even know what to say about this. I have no idea why they added this. It is not something that has ever been in Call of Duty, and it's not something that's ever been needed in Call of Duty. There is no reason for it at all. To be honest, there are a bunch of issues with it. There's the fact that you can see teammates' vision, the fact that it's 360 vision around you and your teammates, and the biggest problem is it makes flanking and, sneaky plays almost completely impossible. If I take a great flank route and I come up behind the enemy team, I shouldn't have my position completely given away because of stupid 360 fog of war vision. And I'm not saying that I hate it because it's only hurt me, because I've used it tons of times to get myself kills. Whether, there's a teammate running behind me and I see from his fog of vision that there's an enemy coming up behind, or even just, honestly, almost every single game I've played in, I've been able to completely turn on someone because all of a sudden they pop up on my radar, even though they're directly behind me, and in every past Call of Duty they would have gotten the kill on me. I think it's ridiculous that if I get outflanked, I should have the ability to turn on someone like that when it's my own fault that I got outflanked. Another issue I have with this is that it doesn't allow you to strategically choose the targets you want to attack if you flank the enemy team. So what I mean by that is, in past Call of Duties, it could be very easy to accidentally run past an enemy. He could have his back to you, and you could be running past him where your vision, he's, say, to the right of you, but right outside of your vision as you run past him. So in the past, you two would just essentially go past each other and never even know it. So if you were chasing an enemy and you randomly ran past another enemy where you didn't see each other, you could continue chasing that original enemy without having any effect. Now, however, if you're chasing an enemy and you run past another enemy, even if you don't see each other, the fog of war will show you both on the minimap, and the guy that you're chasing that may not know that you're chasing him will be able to see now that he's getting chased, and the person that has their back to you will now see that, oh, look, there's someone behind me. And I actually had that happen to me. I've had that happen to me multiple times where that happens, and then all of a sudden 2 guys just 360 spin around and start shooting me, and all of a sudden I'm at a disadvantage where in every other past Call of Duty that wouldn't have been an issue. And it just completely changes the dynamic of, being a rusher and being someone that gets behind enemy lines. And there's a lot of people, including myself, that really don't like it. So there's been multiple suggestions on what should change for this, such as it should only be a cone in front of you instead of being 360. There's been the suggestion that your teammates can't see other teammates' fog of war, or rather that you can't see your other teammates' vision, and that people that pop up would only show up on your mini-map. Or at the very least, they need to make it so that one of the perks counters it. If you guys prefer any of those methods for changing fog of war, or if you have any other suggestions for any of these changes that should be made, let me know in the comments below. that's going to be it for this video on actual gameplay changes that I'd like to see made. I'm going to make another video regarding other changes that I'd like to see before the release that aren't specifically related to in-game stuff. So make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Peace.